We were just showing on the live look-in for people watching on TV when you were doing SportsCenter, when Carl Lewis sang the anthem, and you gave us Francis Scott off-key for Carl Lewis, and you were famous for not being able to hold it together, Charlie. And I mean that as a compliment.
No, and I take it as one because how else am I going to take it? That at that point I was relatively new to television, and that moment was just where I totally lost it. But in some way, it was very liberating because if I laughed my ass off like that and still had a job the next day, maybe I could actually make it in this television business. Because when I came up from, we were downstairs the studio, then we went upstairs to that big old bullpen area room, passing for a newsroom. Everybody's laughing. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I did survive this thing after all. And I think you guys ran it at 11 o'clock that night, too. And every anniversary, Carl and I are on television together. And in the 100th anniversary of ESPN, he and I, despite being phosphorus, will be dates.
He doesn't get our fascination with it. I did an interview with him, and his brother told me, he goes, I don't know why you guys still bring that up.
I in many ways, I do feel badly about it because he was one of the great seminal athletes of the 20th century. And sadly, as many people, if not more, remember his anthem, which was certifiably awful, and I'm the sidecar on this runaway motorcycle. That they remember him as much for that as all the great stuff that he did as an Olympian. So I feel badly in some degree, but it was live. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't that it wasn't not funny.
And to see Derek Coleman pulling his warm-ups over his mouth so we couldn't see him laughing.
Oh, that morning, the morning that we decided to run that, I was driving into work, and I listened to WFAN, and they had like 10 seconds of the anthem. And we used to have those morning meetings, and we'd sit around and what stories, ideas. I said, I heard something on the radio this morning. Carl Lewis did the anthem. It wasn't really very good. Maybe we have it. Well, they got it. And the rest, sadly, is history. It was hysterical.
Oh, man. And just to see...
And then I guess I lost it probably 12 or 13 more times over the course of my career because of Carl Lewis. It was liberating. Funny was funny.
I know. We're supposed to be, have decorum, and we're supposed to be, we're gonna keep our dignity here. We're not gonna show our emotions there. And all of a sudden, you just start laughing. You were doing what we did behind the scenes off camera, or we wanted to do, and then finally you did it, and you're like, it's okay. It's all right to say, hey, my bad, or I made a mistake on this highlight, or whatever it is. It was just, you're right. You took off the Hans device.
Not intentionally. It just, much like what we did back then. We did stuff, and all of a sudden, like, hey, that works. Or, hey, that didn't work. Let's not do that anymore. So suddenly I lose it, and it's like, it's okay. We're still on the air. We'll be back tomorrow. And then, then Tanya Harding comes along, and Mitch Blood Green, and all these Kerry Wood, all of these things that I found particularly humorous. I was freed of the shackles of trying to bite my lower lip.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.